Okay, so this is like my third try trying to film an introduction. Apparently I'm not good at talking on the camera. I have an ombre eyeliner look for you guys today. It goes from like a lavender to a bright purple to a black with a very glossy lip. This is a full face tutorial, so if you're interested in seeing how I got this look, then just keep on watching. I hope you all enjoy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Hey guys, so I'm going to start today's video by applying my new NYX Angel Veil Primer. I think I've used this maybe 5 or 6 times since I bought it from Target, and I'm really liking it. It feels like a moisturizer on the skin, and I'm just rubbing that in with my fingers. Then taking my number 7 foundation and a Morphe flat kabuki brush, I think it's like the E6 or 8, I'll put the brushes I use down below. I'm going to buff the shade Cool Vanilla into my skin. It matches pretty similarly, but as you can see here in a little bit, I will set it with a powder because it has a little bit of a dewy texture look. It makes my face look a little shiny. I prefer a matte foundation. So I'm just taking that with the kabuki and buffing it all over my face and down my neck. Next, I'm going to use my Maybelline Shine Free Loose Powder to set my face and get rid of that shiny look. Some people prefer the dewy look. You can leave it if you like. I just prefer a matte look, and I'm using a Morphe G0 brush from the Gunmetal collection. It's this humongous fluffy brush that I am in love with. I love using it to set my face with different powders. Next, going into my Tartlette palette and picking up the shade Free Spirit. It's a matte off-white, somewhat of like a custard color, on a Morphe E27 very fluffy blending brush. I'm going to take this shade and apply it all over the lid, crease, brow bone, all the way to that tape, just to set things and give myself an even base color to work with. Next, on a Morphe M441 brush, it's like a tapered blending brush made of goat hair, I'm going to apply the shade Best Friend from my Tartlette palette throughout my lower crease. I love this brush because of how tapered it is. I can be more precise than like with my E27. It's more of a buffing and blending out brush, whereas this one does some blending, but has way more precision. Like, you can do a lot more with this brush than the E27. But I'm just building that color up in the crease and then taking my E27 again and buffing it. Applying that original Free Spirit shade that we did helps with buffing out just this one color, so that way you're not trying to buff out one eyeshadow color on bare skin or on an eyeshadow primer. Then taking, I think it's my E13, it's almost like a fluffy chubby shader brush. I'm going to go into the shade Bombshell and work this into the crease, starting at the outer V and dragging it inwards. I want most of this color to be concentrated in the outer V. I guess I really shouldn't say outer V. I mean, I am working it in the outer V, but also into the crease. It's like the outer edge of my crease towards the tape, and then gradually dragging it inwards to build it up. And then I'm also going to buff everything out, blend, blend, blend. It's like once you think you've blended enough, just keep blending. You can never blend too much. Next, taking the very light shade called Force of Nature from the palette, I'm going to take it on my fluffy E27 and blend out the top of Bombshell, just to make sort of a gradient and warm up the look a little bit, because this eyeshadow does have a slight mauve or pink tone versus the cool purples. I'm just applying Force of Nature right above Bombshell and diffusing the color out. Next, on a Morphe E32 shading brush, it's a really dense shading brush, I'm going to pick up the shade Caregiver, which is a beautiful light baby pink, and I'm going to be using this as my lid shade. I'm applying this eyeshadow with patting motions to really build up the color. I think it would have stood out even more if I'd used a white base beforehand, but considering I'm focusing on the eyeliner for this look, it was okay that the color wasn't as intense as it could have been. But yeah, I'm gradually packing that up. I just keep adding more until I get the consistency I want, and then buffing through the crease to make sure there's no harsh lines. Next, on my Morphe E27 again, I'm taking the shade Super Mom and I'm buffing it under my brow bone as a brow bone highlight. Next, using my Colourpop gel eyeliner in the shade Crybaby, it's a lilac purple, I'm going to pick it up on a BH Cosmetics angled eyeliner brush. It's mildly stiff, and apply it to the inner corner. The reason I just made that face is because one of my lights fell down and it scared me to death. Figured you guys would find that entertaining. So yeah, I'm just taking this lilac gel eyeliner on the angled brush and applying it to the inner corner. Next, I'm going to pick up the shade Piggy with that same eyeliner brush. It's a very vibrant purple, like almost magenta purple. It's gorgeous. And I'm going to be applying that to the middle of my eyelid from the end of the lilac color towards the outer corner, but not completely to the outer corner. I stop about 2/3 of the way across. And then I'm taking it and I'm mixing the two eyeliners together here in the middle before they dry to create an ombre effect. You can see now I have a middle purple transition color between the bright purple and the lavender. To finish off my eye, I'm going to take the Maybelline Studio Gel liner on the same angled brush, and I'm going to start to create the tail of my eye look against the tape. I'm making a very small wing. I said tail, but wing, same thing. I don't want it to be very big. The tape will keep everything nice and even. And I'm also blending the black with the magenta color to again create that ombre. Then I can remove the tape, and there's my nice sharp wing. Say hi. Say hi. This is Piper. Yes. She's a mama's girl. Say hi. Good girl. Go baby. So after a brief interruption by Piper, I'm going to take this Flawless Brow Trio and use the brush in the kit and the middle shade to fill in my brows. Then I'm going to use the angled side of the brush and the wax in the palette to line them. I know some viewers won't appreciate seeing my puppy, but she's my everything. She is my baby. She's literally my baby. I love being a fur mama. I love getting puppy kisses, and sometimes I post pictures of her on my Instagram, so I figured you guys would enjoy meeting her. She actually just happened to wander into my makeup room, and I picked her up. But yeah, now I'm taking this eyebrow brush on the end of a Jordana pencil, and I'm using that to run the color through my eyebrows, the powder that we just applied to make it look a little more natural, and to brush down my eyebrow hairs. So now I'm taking that wax and just lining them. I'm not really good at lining my brows yet, carving them out. I think I'm going to need a little more practice. Picking up that Maybelline Eye Studio black liner again, and this time a BH Cosmetics pointed, thin eyeshadow brush or eyeliner brush. I'm going to run this in my waterline along the lower lash line. I just, for some reason, wanted to put gel in the waterline instead of using a pencil like I usually do. And to be different, I'm actually taking this color and running it into my tear duct, like into the lobe of my tear duct, lining the tear duct, and taking it just a little bit on the upper inner corner. Next, out of my Kat Von D palette, I'm going to be taking the shade Anthem, which is the deep purple, and the shade Swoon on my Morphe shader brush. It's actually like a smudger brush. But I'm taking that and I'm applying it in the middle of my lower lash line, right under the shade Piggy Bank, you know, the eyeliner we applied on the upper eyelid. They kind of match up. It's that sandwich effect, again, right in the middle of my lower lash line with the Morphe smudger brush. Then I'm going to pick up the shade, I think it's Muse, I'll type it down below, but it's that lilac purple Shimmery Lilac in the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca palette. I'm putting that on the inner corner part of my lower lash line and blending it with Piggy Bank with the shader brush. See how it's creating that same ombre effect that we have on our upper lid? Next, picking up the shade Black Metal on that same brush, it's from the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca palette. I'm going to run it in the outer corner of my lower lash line to connect it with the wing. I'm blending it with the brighter purple colors we used on the lower lash line from before. Just makes the look a little more cohesive. After everything's applied, I'm going to take my E27 and just blend everything out. Then taking my Maybelline Skinny eyeliner in black, I'm going to tightline my upper waterline. Next, I'm going to take my Wet n Wild Max Volume Mascara in the shade Black, and I'm going to just apply it to my upper lashes and my lower lashes. I really need to be buying a new bottle of this. This one is almost like dried out to the point of not being able to use it. I love this mascara and the tapered wand it comes with. Great for the lower lash line without getting it on the skin, just the lashes. Really separates out the lower lashes. Next, going into my Makeup Revolution Cream Contour Kit, I'm going to take the more orange concealer out of the kit and apply it right under my eyes to conceal dark circles and sharpen the wing. I'm using a Morphe paddle brush to do this. I'm then going to buff this concealer into the skin by using the Morphe AS11 brush. It's like a really tapered, thick kabuki almost. Next, taking the lightest concealer shade from the palette, I'm going to use a Morphe AS10 brush. It's a dual-ended paddle brush with two different size paddle brushes. One's really small, as you can see, and then there's a bigger one as well that I used earlier in the video. But I'm using this shade to highlight the usual areas of my face, above the brow, the nose, again under the eye, the cupid's bow, and after I apply it, I'm going to buff it out with the same AS11 brush. Next, taking my NYX HD Studio setting powder, I'm going to use a Morphe G8, which is a really big fluffy tulip brush. It is slightly tapered. I'm going to take this setting powder and use it to set the concealer I've applied on my face. I'm going to let it bake under the eyes a bit. Using the cool grayish brown shade in the palette, I'm going to be taking my Tarte, I think it's the Ultimate Contour brush, to contour with this shade. I'm taking the angled kabuki side and using it to carve out my cheeks, and then intensifying the cream contour with the small, dense end of the brush. It's kind of like the Morphe M388, the dense brush that I usually use. It's just a lot smaller and more precise, so I can intensify in very specific areas. So I'm taking that cool shade along the hollows of my cheeks and my jawline to slim it a little bit, as well as my forehead. Next, taking my Milani XL Bronzer, I'm going to take the cooler shade of the two, and again with my G8 brush by Morphe, I'm going to set my contour color. This bronzer is a little warmer than the cool tone shade I use, so I am using it to warm up my face as well as set the contour so it doesn't budge all day long. Next, using my big G0 brush, I'm going to wipe away the translucent setting powder I used under the eyes to bake, and I'm going to buff my contour and bronzer out a little bit to make the look seamless. Next, taking my G2 brush by Morphe, it's a small tulip brush. I will be using this to apply my blush shade, which is from the Makeup Revolution Golden Sugar Blush palette. I'm taking the Shimmery Peach shade and just tapping this along my cheekbones. I like this tapered tulip brush because it is pointed, but it's dense enough to where I can sort of buff the blush into my skin. And I'm going to further buff it with the G0. Now taking the Shimmery Highlight shade from my Creme Contour palette, I'm going to pat it along the high points of my cheekbone and the end of my nose and Cupid's bow with my finger. I'm going to blend it out just a little bit with the AS11 brush, I believe. The smaller kabuki pointed end. I'm going to be taking the white highlight shade from the Golden Sugar palette. It's a powder highlight, and I'm going to be using my Morphe M438. It's a tapered fluffy brush for the face, and I'm going to use this powder highlight to set my cream highlight and intensify it even further along my cheeks, nose, and Cupid's bow. Again, I'm going to buff out this highlight a bit with my G0, blending it so there's no harsh lines. Next, I'm taking one of the lip liners and the Exaggerate lip liner by Rimmel. I'm not sure of the exact shade. It's one of the pinky mauve ones. I'll put the name of it down below. But I'm going to use this to line and fill in my lips. Next, I'm going to apply one of my Milani lipsticks in the shade number 26, Nude Creme. It's a little more peach than the lip liner. The lip liner is a little more pink. But, you know, I made it work. Next, I'm taking another Milani lipstick in the shade Pink Frost and applying this to my lips as well. I decided I wanted a little more shine to my lips after applying this, so I'm going to go in with the Revlon Pink Sky Lip Gloss. Next, I'm going to be applying some false lashes by Morphe in the style number 42 Black with some clear Ardell lash glue. Then from my Kat Von D Vida Loca palette, I'm going to take the shade Skulls. It's a very shimmery white shade on a small Morphe shader brush and pack this into the inner corner of my eye to brighten it. I'm also going to buff it out with my E27. After that, this is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm sure I'll see you in my next video. Bye!